Hi there, Mark here again. Welcome to this part 3 of my Carisma SCA-1E kit build. It's going to eventually be the 1981 Range Rover, so let's get on where we left off. Last time we finished bag H, so it's time to open bag I. This is for the bumper assembly, but I'm not going to be fitting the bumpers onto my Range Rover, so all we need I think are these two parts, which I think fit on the chassis rails front and back. So yeah, just those two parts we need. So that was nice and easy, wasn't it? Straight on to bag J. So this is where we start to assemble the main chassis. What we're going to need is this piece here, which is going to hold the servo, and you need your servo obviously, not supplied with the kit, and you need to fit on the servo horn. Now there are 3 supplied for 23 to 25 tooth splines, and obviously you need to fit that on with the screw. Bit of thread lock is advised in there, and then we just need the 4 6mm screws to hold this in, and the servo horn points towards the front like that, so I'll just get those 4 screws in. So you can probably see the 4 screws there. I've used some spare stainless steel ones that I've got, and so I've put some washers on also. So that's that part finished, and I'm going to use more of those stainless steel screws wherever I can, the ones I've got that will fit anyway. Step 2 is just making up the I think they're the shock holders and the body posts. So depending on your kit, the one for the Range Rover, the ones in the rear you have to put on the 4th hole from the bottom. So put the screw through there, and on the front you see there's an F there denoting that this is one of the front parts. You need to put it on the 6th hole up from the bottom, that screw. So make 4 of those, and let's get on with step 3. This is where we're going to need for the first time one of those metal chassis rails, and I think it's the one with the curve that points towards the front. Obviously the channel, the bent channel, goes to the inside, and we need to screw these together. So we need the front left, so there's F and an L. Okay, that's the 4 screws in. There's the 2 countersunks and the 2 button heads, and that's the end of step 3. So on to step 4, where we're going to be attaching this centre part and the rock slider on the side. Right, and there's also 2 little battery clips it looks like, so I'm going to screw those on first, I think. So this has got 2 lugs that go through those 2 centre holes, the middle of the row of 8 holes, like so. Then we've got these 2 clips with the 8mm screws that go on the next hole out, I think. Okay, like that. And then we need the 2 ball joints, some 12mm screws, and 2 of these. And that's going to go in place like so, with the ball joint holding it all together. So do the same on the other side and nip those up. So it should look something like this, and all we need to do now is get this rock slider, push that in as far as it will go I think, and it does show here 10mm long 2.5mm wide thick screws, but the only ones I can find left in the kit are these, which are about 13mm long, so they're the ones that are intended for it, I assume. So with the 2 screws, one there and one there, that's the end of that step. I've also skipped on to step 5, which is attaching the other shock holder and body post holder. So you've got the R there for rear, and there's an L there for the left hand side of the chassis. So that's that, and then there's this cross piece here, which is that fixes on through there with the 2 countersunk 10mm screws there. And all we need to do now is to get this part, this flat tray, and that clips over these 2 lugs, and we're going to put the 2 countersunk screws in there, and obviously not forgetting to put the rear bumper mount right on the back, just 1 8mm screw holding that on. On to step 6 then, where it's time to fit the other side of the chassis rail. So again, you've got these little lugs that are going to fit through the rail. it just gets it all aligned, and then we're going to get those two pieces again that hold the rock slider and put those on with the ball connectors to hold the 10mm screws. Okay, so there's the ball connectors mounted with a bit of thread lock. I've also put on the shock carriers, the top shock mounts, the 10mm countersunks there, front and back. Note the alignment, and there's one screw to go in the back there and the two 8mm in the front. On to step 7, where we're going to be fitting the motor and transmission. This needs this small plastic part that's going to fit onto the bottom of the differential there, and then that's going to screw from underneath. So we're going to locate that into these holes here, or this slot. So actually I've just placed it on this central piece, the screws underneath and that plastic part, and I'm going to try and line that up and get those screws in. So with those two screws in, that's held that nicely in place. We've just got to put two screws in here, which are 8mm button heads. So there we are, they're both in. And just a quick note, these two screws that the manual says here are 10mm screws that hold these pieces on and into those ball joints do actually need to be 12mm. So yeah, 10mm is far too short, so that manual is incorrect there. Anyway, just to finish off step 7, we just need to put the other rock slider in there and secure that with the 2.5mm times 12 screws. Moving on to the 4-link assembly. This is basically what we've got. You've got your front axle. The first thing you need to do is get your front upper links, and then there's, I think, yeah, a 30mm screw goes through and holds those ball ends in there. And then you've got to go to step 2, where we're putting the lower link on with a shock like that. Goes in there, and I'll just show you the side. It's very simple. So you get the other lower link, one of the shocks, and a 24mm screw. It's just simply a case of the shock on the outside, then the link, and do up the screw. So that's all the links and the shocks assembled, ready to be attached to the chassis. You get that manual out of the way. Hopefully you can see a bit better what's going on. Get the axle like so, and the first thing I want to do, I think, is to get the drive shaft connected. So again, you want the hole at the top with the thread in it, and not at the bottom, else we won't be able to screw it in. And get this located over that shaft. I think what we need to do is get this bradawl, and I'm going to centre up the shaft in there so it's lined up ready. Then get your grub screw, and obviously we need a bit of thread lock on this. A good nip up. Okay, now we're going to, yeah, we're connected up. We're going to get these links without the balls in and pop them onto these ball ends that we screwed on before on the chassis rails. I think that's right. And then you've got the other two. They're going to locate into these two holes here, or two slots. Again, it's a tight fit, and those are fixed in by a 16mm screw through each side. Just get those tightened up. Then we need this plastic step spacer, a 20mm screw and a washer, and we're going to attach the top of the shocks, and it says to start off with it on the highest mounting hole possible, so that's what we'll do. Something like that, and obviously the same for the other side. So with the tops of each shock mounted, all you need to do is put a 12mm screw there to connect the steering arm with the servo horn. So onto the rear upper link assembly onto the rear axle. So again, we just need to put those ball joints into position and then secure those with the 30mm long M3 screw. And again, it's the shock on the outside and the lower link, and then 24mm screw, and that's going to hold these into place here. Like so, and the same on the other side. And the rear axle assembly should look something like this, and then we've got to fit it as we did earlier to the chassis. So let's get this out of the way. As before, I'm going to connect up the drive shaft first, or the prop shaft, get the screw thread uppermost, centre that with my bradawl, and get the grub screw in. Okay, just pop on the upper of these links onto the ball joints, and then the 16mm screw is going to hold each of these ends through that central plastic piece, like so. Okay, and then just attach the top of the shocks exactly as we did earlier. And with those shocks attached, that's pretty much the end of the chassis. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, it's gone reasonably well, I think. So what I'm going to do now is get those wheels done and fit them on, and that's going to be the end of this video. So here's one of the lovely wheels I prepared earlier. It's very simple to do. Obviously just take those screws out of the wheel, and it just comes apart. It's just 3 pieces like this, and your 5 Allen screws. Basically get your tyre and put that central part, or the bead locker, in the middle. These tyres, I've got to say, are very, very soft. My fingers are almost sticking to them. Just putting this piece in. So yeah, once that's inside, you need to put this lip over that recess there. Get it somewhere near. It should come together when we get the halves of the wheel in. So I'm going to put the back piece in first. It's a very good fit. And now you've got to be very careful, because it's easy to get this mislined or misaligned. So try and match up the holes and the spokes before you start putting the screws in. So that looks about right, lining up. What we need to do is get the first screw in place. So just screw it lightly in, don't screw it too far, and get all the others in very loosely before you start tightening them up. Careful as you go, because being alloy that we're screwed into, it could be really easy to strip the thread or to get it cross threaded, so you should be really careful with these. But I hate to spoil them. Okay, so that's them all loosely fitted. So now I'm going to go round opposites and screw it up bit by bit until it's all the way clamped in. Okay, then that's all the wheels together and fitted, and don't they look fantastic? Well, there we go. That's the chassis pretty much done. I've just got to get some electronics on it, and it'll be ready to test. Yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope you've enjoyed following along, and all I've got to do now is that bodywork, which is going to be a little bit more difficult, I think, than this whole chassis build, but we'll see. Anyway, thanks a lot for following along, and hope to see you on the next one. Bye. Hello there. This one's for you, Derek. Hi mate. This is the finished SCA-1E. I said it was going to climb up some wood. Okay, it's not vertical, I know, but it's pretty blooming steep. And I'm here in the greenhouse just messing about. Here we are. Got my twin stick, so I'm going to have a go holding this handy cam in one hand and having to go up this slope. So I think it's going to go on 3 wheels. because of the torque, I think. Maybe you can tell me that, but it's got that 80 turn motor in Derek, and I've got a 20 kilogram servo in there. So let's see if we can film it and drive it at the same time. As you said, it's got a lot of control, but it is lifting that one wheel. I don't know if you can see. Is that normal? But yeah, so 3-wheel drive, up we go. And go really slow. I think I've got that in view just about. But I'm not sure if this drag brake's working properly, so I think we're at the top-ish. Way!